kitchen cupboards. After a month of waiting, they finally arrived. So they are custom made for our van size, however they are kitchen cupboards for our home, so we do have to just trim them up a little bit so they fit the shape of the van. We just have to make a few adjustments to the kitchen because this bit here just came a little too long, so we're just going to take this part off and then just give it a bit of a cut, and then we can start to screw this into the back today. We also just have to add the feet onto the base of the cupboards as well. Here goes. Alright, Brian, can I move? Come on. Go over here. I know. It's always a bit harder to do work when Bronte's around because she's just so cute. Are you distracted? Big, you can see that line there. Obviously that's where I think they have forgotten to cut the piece to size, so that's fine. We've got a saw and we'll just cut that in a sec. Do I need to be in the shot?
You're just leaning at it.
I can just be here.
Alright, so we've just made this little contraption with a pencil and this piece of wood here, just so we can measure the exact distance and the curves of the van for the cupboard. So we're just basically going to run it up along the walls and measure it all the way up, and it should give us an identical cut to what we need, so fingers crossed it works. Alright, so basically using this tool, we've made sure that the bottom here was square with the other cupboard, and we've pretty much just made sure that these gaps here are exactly the same, and then as you run it up all the way to the top, in these little nooks here, it basically comes out all the way so that it matches the exact same gap on the bottom, and we should be able to slide the whole thing back in once we cut this little section out here. Alright, so we just had a little slight delay. We didn't have a jigsaw here, so our good mate Squiz dropped one off for us. So we'll get started on jigsawing this piece off here, which hopefully, fingers crossed, goes straight into it first time.
Probably won't, but I don't know.
So we've just cut this piece off the other side and then pushed it up against the one in the van, and it all fits pretty nicely. So we're just going to copy this exact same one here onto the flip side and then cut it off, and it should fit in nicely. Alright, so we've just got it back inside the van. As you can see, the cut was pretty decent running along these lines.
For our standards.
For our standards. So when we put the walls in, they'll basically cover up all the little cuts that we've done here, so we're not too worried about the chipping on the edges, just because the walls will butt up right against it. In here, we've basically tacked it directly onto the other cupboard here, and we'll start running a couple screws going straight into the van as well, just to hold it in place. But for our first time, I'm pretty happy with it, and it looks quite good.
For our standards.
For our standards.
Woo! So in the next few clips, we are installing our top cupboards. Prior to installing, we had to build a support bracket to mount the cupboards onto. All our cupboards were installed with Sikaflex and then screwed in to ensure maximum strength while driving.
So I've just etched a little slither in here, just because the uprights of the beam, so we're just pushing it up against it and putting it out a bit. So just cut a little bit of an edge off here, and I'll do the same to the MDF on the back there as well. And it should fit in perfectly.
Alright, so we just installed the side cupboard. We're just going to move the feet over a couple inches so they're sitting on the van floor instead of sitting on the step here. So that's what we're going to do, just flip it over and move it down. Is that too fast? Bring them back in. Okay, put them back in.
That's the wrong way.
Putting them back in. Done.
Hey, run. So as you can see, we've just moved over the feet a little bit just to get them off the actual step and onto the van floor itself, so it's a more level surface. So we'll get this one screwed into place and mounted, and then work on the next cupboard as we go along.
In the next few clips, we are creating some support pieces that we glued and screwed underneath our drawers to help absorb some of the vibrations from the road. We did this because we didn't want our drawers to become loosened over time, and on the road we've experienced some pretty dodgy potholes south of the Queensland border. Anyway, don't worry, Timmy does eventually get these all screwed in.
So just using the tape measure to measure how far in these blocks are, just so we're not guessing where we're screwing into. So we've done one, we'll do the rest of the three now, and we should be all good.
In the next few little clips, you'll see Tim and I making some modifications to our chest of drawers. Unfortunately, our drawers came in a little undersized, and instead of sending them back, we decided just to go with it and make a shoebox on the bottom of the drawers to bring it back up to our desired height. This actually worked out for the best, as we hadn't actually factored in where to store shoes, so it was a happy accident in the end. Why is this weird? Seamless video of me putting shelves in.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not quite very, not very seamless.
Easy. Alright, so this is the end product of our little storage cupboard we made for our shoes. What we're going to do now is build our bed benches that are going to go along this here. So we're going to build a little frame around it and then do the lids in a later date. So there's all our cupboards. Everything that we've purchased is now installed and looking quite good. Just going to build our benches for our beds here as well. So Paige is just out cutting at the moment, and we'll put them all in here nice and snug. So we're basically just creating it straight back onto the wall to make a tub with a lift up lid on the top of it as well. So it should be good once it's done. Won't be too long. So here we are just installing the cabinet hinges for the storage boxes underneath our bed. You will need a special tool that drills out a 35mm hole from the panel. If you don't have this, it may make your life a little bit harder. Each packet has specific measurements dependent on which type of hinge you buy, so follow them to a T. Once the holes have been cut out, screw in as directed.
I lost where I put my latch. Alrighty. Alright, so today we're installing the RV latches. We've got these from RV Labs. The only little problem is we run into is our drawers. We didn't order these before we ordered the cupboards, and they just don't fit properly. So we're just having to make a few little modifications and make a little recess in some of the drawers just so they fit a little smoother. But I've got my dad here who's a carpenter, and he's going to give me a bit of a hand today. It's just a bit out of my scope. But I've got dad here today. He'll give me a hand and basically just tell me what to do, and I'll just hand him the tools. Hey Brian! So I'm sure you all know how to use a tape measure. I'm the only one that probably needs a lesson on how to bloody use it. Oopsie doopsie. Yeah, this is, you're looking at a tradie's daughter right now. Has no idea how to use a tape measure. Yeah. Dad taught me well. It's definitely not proud of this moment. Oh, I didn't draw my line straight either. That's one thing Dad always gets angry at me for. Alrighty, so with the drawer I have just found the centre, and then from the centre I have measured where the latch will fit and just drawn either side. So either side of that we are going to make a little bit of a groove and essentially move a couple mil off the top there, just so the latch sits flush with the drawer, because at this stage it is rubbing on the other drawers as we pull it in and out. So I'm just going to do that now. I just have a Stanley knife with a bit of a jagged edge, and I'll be using the saw just very finely as well, trying to get it right. I'm going to take my time with it because obviously we don't want to it up too much. So I've just made some little grooves in there now. The top layer is a plastic, so that's what I was just trying to get before, and I will just fill it up now and then go on with the saw and make some little grooves, so then I can just shave it across the top like that to make it all flush. So here goes. Alrighty, so this is what it looks like now. I've just cut out that top layer of the plastic. Essentially you won't see it because the RV lock will be covering it up as so. Yeah, don't mind my finger, I did cut that on the Stanley knife. Now I can truly say I put my blood, sweat and tears into this van. Yeah, just be careful when you're using the knife.
We're just marking now where our catch is going to go off our lock, which is already installed, so we'll mark either side of the catch. There's our two marks, so I'll just hold that there, mark around this. Now in the instructions it says you've got to buy a 35mm drill bit to do this, or you can freehand it with a router. We did have one, but it was about 40mm and it was too big, so we changed over for a hand router. Ta-da!
Definitely done this before.
Cool. Once all the cupboards had been recessed, I was then able to install the latches. As you can see, I am just drilling some pilot holes before screwing the latches in. So that is it. These are our final product of our RV latches, which we have installed on both sides and on our kitchen as well. And that's a wrap on another video. Once again, thank you for watching till the end. We appreciate your support. Our next video will be installing our benches along with our sink and stove. If you want to see more of us, find us on Instagram to keep up to date with our travels.